Okay, there. So a couple weeks ago, I was in Croatia, and I made a video that said that most virtues are earned through a whole lot of trials. And then it made me wonder, like, I know patience is a virtue, but what are some other virtues? And so I looked it up, and there's not a straight answer. Okay, there's some people say, oh, there's 7 or 12 or 100, or there's books on it. I don't even know. But we're gonna go through a couple virtues because I think it's important, right? I think it's important to kind of know this stuff. So one of them is charity or love. And is that earned through trials? I think the answer is yes. I think that people that are charitable typically have been without, and they know what it's like to go without, and so they don't want other people to go without. Now, one thing that comes to my mind is a couple years back we had in Texas what we call snowmageddon. So we all kind of lost power for about 3 days, and it was freezing, what we call freezing. I mean, technically it was freezing. There was snow and ice on the ground, but it wasn't like North America freezing. It was more like Texas freezing. Nevertheless, I was cold. I was in my house and I was cold. And so I huddled up in here, and I've got tall ceilings, a 2-story house. And so I was like, I can light some candles, and it made like zero difference. And I was like, I'm so cold, and there was no power, and super boring. And I posted some stuff about, that was funny about me being cold. And a friend of mine was like, come over, man, we got power. And I'm like, no, you don't have to, I'll be fine. And he goes, come over. And he kept saying it, and finally I was like, I'll come over just for a little bit, maybe warm up or whatever. And he goes, we got dinner, here, come on. So I went over there, and he was so kind, and we had food, and we laughed a lot and everything. And I was like, I've taken up enough of your time and your warmth. I'll go back to my cold house. And he's like, just stay the night. I'm like, no, it'll be fine. I came back home. It was so cold. I drove through the snow and ice, and Texas was not prepared for that. And I got back home, and I got in my bed. I could see my breath. I was like, man, I cannot get warm over here. And he called me up. He goes, John, seriously, come over to my house. Like, what are you doing? We've got an extra bed. Come stay the night at my house. And I was like, okay, maybe just this once. And I did. And I felt so much better. I was like, man, I am freezing. And thank God that I had a friend that was charitable and that was kind and loving to me. And the next morning I got up, and I did have power, or sometime during the next day, I did get power at my house. And I was like, I know what it feels like to not have power, and I know what it feels like to be cold and miserable and not have anybody to help you out, even though I did have somebody to help me out. And immediately I was like, how can I go and help other people so that they don't feel the way that I felt? And I went, and I saw that people had burst pipes, and I was like, I can help you with that. And there came a point I went to Home Depot, and I walked in the plumbing department, and the guy that's working in the department, he goes, what do you need? We don't have it, because everything was sold out. I mean, it was just like empty shelves everywhere. And we were like, well, if we take these 10 fittings and put them together, then maybe we can make it work. And I went and I probably fixed 100 burst pipes. And I realized I'm not a licensed plumber, but we went and we helped, and we got it where they had their water running again and wasn't flowing all over their house. And I've got a couple of friends that are plumbers, and I work with them sometimes. And they were so kind. They went around, and they're like, look, we're not vultures. And so they know what it's like to be, I know they both know what it's like to have, hard times and go without and all that. And so they would go and they would fix somebody's plumbing, and they wouldn't tell them how much it was before. And then people would be like, how much is it? And they said, it should be this much. And they gave them a bill, and people were like, I don't think I can. And they're like, but for you today, nothing. And they just rip up the bill and throw it away and go to the next house. And they were like, we make enough money when there is good times. We are not going to prey on people when there are bad times. And I did the same thing. And so me and 2 of my friends who were plumbers, separately, but all kind of came together afterwards. We fixed, I don't even know how many burst pipes. And that came from the fact, that trait of us wanting to be charitable to other people came from us being in need before and going, this is miserable. I don't want to be in need. I want to help other people. And so that is one example of how that happens with charity. We're going to keep going through virtues, so keep watching.